Working for Arise remains one of the most enjoyable jobs I've had in my career. It was exhilarating. No day was ever the same. Some days were exhausting. Some days were beyond exciting. But I can guarantee you that no day was ever the same. We interviewed a plethora of people, everybody from Lupita Nyong'o to Alicia Keys to Neo to Tyson Beckford to Gladys Knight. The list goes on and on. It's one of the only shows where you could interview a literary titan and a rapper in one episode. It was never a dull moment at Arise. And one of the things I love most about that network is that Nduka really gave us all an opportunity to find our voices, to work as hard as we could, and to deliver the best product every day. He trusted us, he believed in us, he had faith in us, and we helped him build a global network. And here we are, 10 years later, Arise, still standing. Many networks have come and gone. Some people have tried, many have failed, but here Arise is. Congratulations, Arise. Happy, happy anniversary.
Good morning out there. You're watching the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati.
I'm Ayo Myra.
I'm Rafai Husseini, and we've got a great show lined up for you for the next 3 hours. So sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day because the morning show begins right now.
The media space is still agog following the speech made during the APC rally in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State capital earlier on Monday by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC. That the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, was a former Senate president.
They have no mandate. What they have now ice cream. It melt quick. You get me? They are yeye people. Atiku, when we make him Senate president, Abba, you sell this, you sell that, assets, our commonwealth, our patrimony, everything that we have, we sell them, we become skeleton. Atiku no care.
As Vice President.
As Vice President.
Nigerians have now come to.
Atiku Abubakar has since reacted to Tinubu's comment by telling the APC candidate that he was never a Senate president. The former vice president lamented that, and I quote, the constant gaffes of the APC presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, which started as a comic relief, is slowly becoming a tragedy, an embarrassment to Nigeria, Africa's largest nation, unquote. Joining us later on this show to discuss the PDP campaign activities amid the ruling party's comments in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, is Kola Ologbondiyan, spokesperson, Atiku Okowa Presidential Campaign Council. Ologbondiyan was also a former National Publicity Secretary of the party.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging Mike Osatoyi, National Controller, Operations, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, on the lingering fuel scarcity in Nigeria ahead of the 2022 general elections.
Well, those catch up on news making headlines across the globe. Michael Wilson gives an update on global business outlook, while Rhodes Sudiri will update us on Africa business activities across the continent. We'll also review today's newspaper with the Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Afeni. While Audio will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. Welcome back to The Morning Show right here on the Rise News channel. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Central Bank of Nigeria is assuring Nigerians that they will not lose their money even after the February 10 deadline to submit old notes. CBN Governor Gordon Emefiele appeared before the House of Representatives ad hoc committee. Rise correspondent Tuja Lanikweko compiled the report.
After his inability to appear before the House of Representatives on 2 different occasions, the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, is finally here to honor summons by the lawmakers. The agenda of this meeting is simple: scarcity of the newly redesigned Naira notes and how to ensure that Nigerians do not lose their old Naira notes. The CBN Governor was emphatic that the February 10th deadline stands, but Nigerians can still take their old notes to the banks even after the deadline. Only that the old notes will no longer be legal tender after the deadline.
You have your money that you have not been able to send into the bank. We certainly will give you the opportunity to bring them back into the CBN and redeem it. Either you pay it in your bank account or you want to do exchange, we give you. You will not lose your money. That is the assurance I give to Nigeria.
Emefiele says the currency redesign policy had so far recorded about 75% success in mopping up loose cash within the economy, stressing that many rural and underserved locations across the country have had the opportunity of swapping their old banknotes for new ones. The CBN boss says about 2 trillion naira had so far been collected since the commencement of the exercise. When pressed on the scarcity of the new note, he blamed commercial banks for violating the guidelines issued by the Apex Bank for the distribution of the new currency.
We held several meetings with the deposit money banks and provided them with guidance notes on processes they must adopt in the collection of old notes and the distribution of new notes. Unfortunately, and indeed, I addressed the bankers on Sunday, and I expressed to them my disappointment about the way this has gone on, because many of us have unfortunately seen the new Naira, instead of being used for the purpose it is meant, the new Naira is being used in parties, in celebrations, which means that they had breached certain aspects of the guidance notes we gave to them.
The policy is a government policy being carried out by a component of Nigerian government. The institution here also is a component of the government, in fact, an arm of government. So this is, of course, a welcome submission. It is a welcome answer, but unfortunately, at a belated point. If you had earlier come, submitted this thing, of course, that's the point. The crisis would not have come up at all. Nigerians would have gone home to sleep.
My only worries is the fact that when this policy came up, there was this expectation that this policy is going to help strengthen our Naira against the dollars. But today, as at today, from my observation, I think the dollar is even higher than what it was. before the policy came on board.
When are you opening across-the-counter business transaction in Nigeria? Because we are suffering. Everywhere we are suffering.
We are doing this for the good of Nigerians. We are doing this so the Nigerian economy can be better than it is today.
Chairman of the House Special Ad Hoc Committee, Ado Doguwa, expressed the support of the House of Representatives for the cashless policy of the bank, stressing that the House would assist the CBN in achieving its mandate.
Right, a lot to talk about. You first.
Interesting morning and happy new month, as it's often said in this part of the world. It's the 1st of February. I'm really excited that we're starting off a very important and critical month for Nigeria and Nigerians all over the world. February 25, we go to the polls to elect a new president. But we're starting off the month talking about this, talking about the redesign policy of the CBN. Finally, Governor of the CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has appeared before the House of Assembly to defend and to explain, perhaps, this policy and its effect on Nigerians, particularly the House's request that the deadline be extended till at least June 2023, citing the sufferings of the people that they represent in terms of accessing cash. He's apologized to the House saying that he couldn't appear before them on the 2 previous occasions when he had been invited, because the first time he had been on vacation, the second time he traveled to Senegal with the president, all of which we had spoken about here on the show. Let's go to what he spoke about. He defended the policy, talking about the gains that the CBN has made in terms of monetary control of money circulation in the nation since the policy and the deposits of Naira notes in banks across the nation. It also talked about the fact that the CBN had intervened based on feedback they'd received following the policy in terms of the initiatives to ensure that rural areas, hinterlands, have access to be able to deposit their money and take in the new Naira notes. He also further talked about the sabotage by some banks in terms of how some of them have not made these new notes available to their customers or to Nigerians. He even talked about the fact that rather than getting the new notes at ATMs, you're seeing them at parties, which we talked about yesterday. And he said that some of the bankers said, they withdrew the money from the ATMs, but we could see the bale of money that hadn't been, that was still in their packs as if they were collected over the counter to negate that. So he addressed all these issues. I believe that very importantly is, the debate that had gone on yesterday, which when he said that in line with the Constitution, CBN Act Section 20, subsection 3, which he agreed he would obey in terms of the fact that even after the old notes had lost legal status, they would still be able to receive them at the banks. Now, a clarification was made by the Deputy Director on Corporate Comms with regards to the fact that, so just to clarify this, and I'll end my point here, that yes, you can take back the notes after the deadline of the 10th of February. However, you can't take it to your commercial banks. You have to go to the CBN, and he mentioned that there are guidelines and rules which were not spelled clearly. So just to mention that.
Dr. Bati?
Okay, the issues are as follows. Number one, it's a win-win for both the CBN and also the House of Representatives. Members of the House of Representatives are representing the people. They speak for the people of Nigeria. And to the extent of that, they have a duty to protect Section 14(2)(b) of the 1999 Constitution, which says that the purpose of government is the security and welfare of the people. As I argued in my column in this day newspaper yesterday, I said to that extent, no policy may be introduced that inflicts any kind of pain, inconvenience, or frustration on the people of Nigeria. And under Section 89 of the same 1999 Constitution, the House of Representatives is given the powers, or the National Assembly, to summon anybody to come and offer explanation with regard to any policy for the good governance of Nigeria. To all of that extent, the House of Representatives had acted within the law. So last week, previously, when they said the CBN governor must appear before them, they did not do anything out of place. The contentious point here was regard to the Naira redesign and cash policy and timing and all of that. And they said they will invoke Section 20, subsection 3 of the Constitution, of the CBN Act, which is to be read along with Section 22 thereof. And the whole argument here is that, yes, the CBN has powers to redesign notes, to issue new notes, to define what is legal tender. But they were quoting Section 20 subsection 3, that in the interest of the Nigerian people, those old notes should be redeemable upon demand, as the law says. And when the CBN governor eventually showed up yesterday, after all the threats that, you know, a warrant of arrest will be issued upon him and all of that, the matter was settled because he made one critical point. He said he agrees with the House of Representatives on this. So in other words, he's saying there's no problem with the law. But I've also argued previously that the CBN had already addressed the matter. When on Sunday, the CBN governor issued a statement saying we're giving an extension to February 10. We're also giving a grace period till February 17. That grace period means you can redeem upon demand in line with Section 20, subsection 3. So he merely went to the House of Representatives to restate what he had already done. You know, and we had made the argument, yesterday morning. Okay, so he went there, he agrees with them, and he told them this has been taken care of. However, what remains is the deadline. Will it still be February 17, or will there be further extension for citizens to have their old Naira notes redeemed upon demand? What has also been established is that those old notes cease to be legal tender with effect from February 10. He did not talk about extending that. And the House of Reps committee did not push the point about an extension till June. So people should note all of this. Another thing to note is that the House of Representatives had also said they were summoning the CEOs of banks, chief executives. Those chief executives were not there yesterday. Are they still going to summon those chief executives? However, what is important is that those new notes must be made available. Only 500 Naira, 200 Naira, and 1,000 Naira notes have been changed, redesigned. So what happened to 10,000? What happened to 50,000? I tried to call the bank yesterday. I said, okay, give me 100 Naira notes. Give me 100 Naira notes. Give me 50 Naira notes. They also do not have 100 Naira notes. They don't have 50 Naira notes. Even if they had offered me 5 Naira notes, I would have collected. So what happened to other denominations? That is where the challenge lies, because all of this, if the people still don't have access to the new notes, then the purpose is completely defeated. This is the point.
I mean, the National Assembly is supposed to fight for the people, but sometimes you wonder, is it the people truly the National Assembly is fighting for? To a large extent, these senators and these lawmakers, House of Rep members, only fight for themselves. These were the same people, if we don't forget, and I think Nigeria should call them out as we start the election month. These were the same people that said we should not do electronic voting. A lot of them lied that their villages do not have internet facility. So they lied. And Nigeria should know that the House of Rep members only speak for themselves and their interest. Because it was crystal clear from the start. And that's why when they made the threat of arrest last week, it was laughable that the message was explicitly stated. Most of these things were stated at the MPC meeting. When there was a new development, the CBN issued ample awareness and information on Sunday in a circular that went round. So what part of it wasn't understood? But anyway, don't get me wrong, the National Assembly has a right to call everybody. But please, let us not get too political. What are the arguments? The argument is that this policy has come to stay. In fact, it was long overdue. We need to be able to change currency from time to time. It's stated in the CBN Act. The next argument, there was an extension to take your old notes to the bank till the 10th. Then there was a further grace period where you can take your money back to the CBN on the 17th, now not the commercial bank, to the CBN on the 17th to be able to still put your notes in and it will be reflected. But the money ceases to be a legal tender. And it's as simple as ABC. And one step further is the bank. We all know that the scarcity of the note is caused by the banks. The DSS have started arresting bank staff in connivance with other people getting the notes. We all saw a party where there was Naira flunking. Obviously, that money came from people that connive with bank staff. So the bulk of this falls on the banks, and the leaders of the banks should be able to come out and save Nigerians here. But like I said, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. And why did they do it? It's based on the culture of big manism that we have in Nigeria, that people can just call a bank official and say, okay, go me for me because of my own gains. So until we stop that, no way forward. But the question is this policy going to help Nigeria? Yes, it's going to help the economy. It is going to help the economy. We have seen the first knock-on effect that I always argued about is the inflation rates. Inflation is trending down for the first time in 11 months. So let us all support this because this is for our own best interest. We have a level of sanity in our financial system so that when the CBN puts in any intervention, we can see the effects. We'll move to the next story this morning. The presidential candidate of the All Progressive Congress, Bola Tinubu, at the party's presidential campaign rally in Calabar, Cross River State, slammed President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government over the depreciation of the nation's currency. According to Tinubu, when the government took over, Naira to dollar was 200, but now it has depreciated to 800 Naira to dollar on the parallel market. Also at the Calabar rally, Tinubu promised that Cross River State Governor Cross River State will be converted to a hub of tourism if he becomes president of Nigeria after February 25, 2023 presidential elections.
To change and torture, move the exchange rate from 200 to 800. If they have repaired it, if they have arrested this, we won't be where we are today. We will be greater. They don't know the way. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to do.
Wow. Another day in the House of Stark. Ayo.
Yes, very quickly, I just want to ask again what party Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is contesting on. This is still the APC?
Yes, a member of the APC.
So to the best of our knowledge, it's still the APC.
Yes.
Now, this is very interesting. Not often do you see a candidate speaking against or criticizing the party on which he is seeking election, because if you believe that your party hasn't done well, where the president that served under your party hasn't done well, then please tell us why the people should vote for you. So is he running as an independent, away from the values and ideologies of the APC? Or is he running saying that I'm here to change? And then people ask the question, why didn't you change it in the last 8 years when your party was in government? Was in government? But I'll leave that because there's been a lot of debate around this, and I'm sure we'll talk about this further as we have guests later on today. Let me talk about the fact that he said that he'll make Calabar a tourism hub. Now, Calabar has been under the radar, and a number of articles and investigations and research has proven that Calabar can be positioned to be the tourism headquarters of Nigeria and I dare say Africa. And the former governor of Calabar State, Donald Duke, had actually attempted to do that, introducing things like the Calabar Festival, uplifting the Obudu Ranch, look at Tinapa. And then we asked the question today under APC Professor Ben Ayade, how has Calabar fared and how have they maximized the potential? I just end by saying this. What happened to Las Vegas? What happened to Busari Port? What happened to his ideals around building Calabar to be the ideal tourism destination? What is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu going to do about Calabar Port to connect us to the rest of Africa? Potential, I hope that beyond the rhetorics in terms of campaigns, will truly make Calabar the destination for all of Africa and the rest of the world.
Dr. Batim?
Well, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was specific in saying that they would turn Cross River State into something like Florida and the tourism hub for Nigeria. And that would be interesting because tourism is what, successive governments, administrations in Calabar are taken, very seriously. They call Calabar the Canaan City, and the Calabar Carnival is very, popular. Tinapa, although that was abandoned by those who took over from Donald Duke. But in any case, yes, that's the point he made. In Anambra, he made a point about erosion. He said he's been able to tame the Atlantic in Lagos State, and that he would tame erosion in Anambra, where I don't know how the Atlantic Ocean has been tamed in Lagos State, and whether the Atlantic is the same as erosion, and that he would turn Anambra into an industrial hub. Third point, however, beyond the issues that he addressed, is that it looks like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been in an opposition mood. Of course, he's a tested opposition politician when the PDP was in power at the center. But now, even as a member of the APC, from Abeokuta to Uyo, to Calabar, to Oka, he's been sounding like an opposition figure. In Abeokuta, he criticized the president of Nigeria over fuel scarcity, over disbursement of Naira notes. His spokespersons will later backtrack and say he was criticizing the PDP, when it is clear that it's not the PDP that is managing fuel scarcity or that has introduced the new Naira notes policy. In Oka, he said Peter betrayed Jesus Christ in the Bible 3 times. It's very good to see that he also reads the Bible. And that Peter Obi is going to betray the people of Nigeria, so they shouldn't vote for him. With all that talk, he even called him Mr. Stingy. And then, of course, he went on to Calabar, where he delivered his bombshell about Atiku is a walai talai lai man. He said anytime you hear him say walai talai, it means lai. Don't trust him. He will privatize Nigeria and put it in his pocket. So he's been on this combative mode, which is curious, because when the APC started their presidential campaign, they said they were going to campaign on 2 fronts. The APC's achievement at the federal level and also Bola Tinubu's achievement in Lagos State. Consistently, they seem to have dropped that. And to talk about the exchange, how they don't know what to do, they don't know they don't know the way. Who are these they? Because 200 Naira to the dollar, that was when the APC took over. So is he directly criticizing the Buhari government? Is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu reacting to the perception that the president, in terms of body language, is not giving him enough support? I mean, that's the conundrum here. But nobody should be surprised if later in the day, his spin doctors come forward and say, no, he was not talking about Buhari administration. He was talking about the PDP. But it's not the PDP that moved the Naira from 200 to the dollar to 800 Naira to the dollar. Nor is it the PDP, that is, in power at this particular moment.
You see, the exciting thing about all of this is the honesty of Mr. Bola Tinubu, recounting the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari that he sold to Nigerians in 2015 has failed. And like he said they have no brain. So it is what he sold that did not do well for Nigerians. And the fact that he's recounting the hardship Nigerians are facing from what he is also a part of. Because these were the things they sold. I remember very vividly, we will give you student loans. 4 years will be 4 years. 4 years now, plus close to a year of ASU strike. So I'm happy stating the obvious. And it is very, very important he states it the way it is. From 200, because if you remember, $1 will be 1 Naira. Now, 200 will be 800. That's what they have put on ground. When they were talking about Calabar, I looked. Governor Ayade was there. Professor Ayade was there. With all the budgets he has put in, they can't turn Calabar around. You know why? Because there's no will. You can't give what you don't have. Mr. Donald Duke had the foresight. He spent $450 million. Today, anytime you go to Calabar and go to Tinapa, you see $450 million waste away right there. That was the biggest investment in tourism to be able to change a lot of Calabar. But you see, because when people don't have something and you expect them to give you, it is an aberration. And that's why they are talking about Calabar ports. Ports that was easy for the colonial masters to dock their things at. Now, all of a sudden, there's nothing again in Calabar. Calabar, that used to be the cleanest city, has become the dirtiest now. So when people don't have something and you expect too much from them, then it becomes an aberration. I'm sorry, when it says they will turn Calabar to tourism hub, they should first start by asking the $450 million invested in Tinapa. Why is Tinapa and the cable cars not addressing the problem of tourism and bringing in people today? Where are all the plans? Wasn't that place supposed to have a presidential retreat, Dr. Abati? I think that place was supposed to be a presidential retreat at a point now. Yes, at Tinapa. So what happened to the presidential retreat? What happened to $450 million? When they answer the question, we know they are ready. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson and Rotus Odiri to give us updates on global and Africa business activities. Stay with us.
I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vault it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, revolt. Is the answer. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Vault is the answer. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business with Vault. By Polaris Bank.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer.
Hey, Iskili, báwo la ti fẹ́ sanwó ni? Farabalẹ̀. 1,000. We go wash plate tire o. Farabalẹ̀ now.
Madam, èló lówó wa?
Brother, na 3,005.
Màá fún yín ní owó pé káàdì Glo ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún 10,000.
Oh yeah.
Bring your phone.
Ha! 10,000.
1,000 naira credit. Now you turn to 10,000.
No. All of us don't know about Glo Berekete. Ní ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá nísìnyí.
Ṣé o ti gbọ́? Ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá ló máa gbà lórí iyekíye tó o bá rà sórí ohun ìpè Glo Berekete 10 times rẹ.
I told you. Now what go tell?
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who were governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. First of all, Asia Pacific, and basically not an enormous amount happening there, as you can probably imagine, because of the momentous decision that we're going to get from the Fed later today, around about, it'll be our evening time, obviously, and your evening time too, and it's expected that there'll be a 0.25% rise there. I mentioned last week about China's luxury shoppers pushing up luxury goods stocks like LVMH and Richemont. Richemont is the people that own Cartier, for example, if you didn't know. Anyway, the problem is that China is not Chinese citizens are not necessarily traveling abroad. They may be buying their luxury goods as a sort of when they've been released from lockdown, but they may be buying them domestically rather than coming overseas for them and going to duty-free shops and so on. So that's what they're actually seeing there. South Korea posted its worst ever in its recorded history, its worst trade deficit. And basically, this is all about this 16% down, which is actually quite a lot. And this is basically all about semiconductors, not replacing their smartphones and so on. But South Korea suffering quite a lot there. India today has its big budget discussion, walking the usual tightrope that everybody needs now, wants to promote growth, obviously, but then again needs taxes to come back to its coffers. So it's a very, very difficult day for India today. We'll have the results of what actually happened probably on the programme tomorrow. As far as the United States is concerned, yes, all paused really for the Fed meeting. The announcement of which on interest rates will probably be later this evening. It's expected that it will be a 0.25% rise this time. That's what the markets sort of costed in. But Jerome will stay very, very hawkish on what he's actually saying about the economy. In other words, he say don't get lulled in, just cool it a bit. Don't get lulled into a false sense of security. My major job is tackling inflation, and I will do whatever it takes. But it may just be that the Fed decides to slow its interest rate rises down a little. I'm just getting some breaking news actually that PayPal is laying off 7% of its workforce, facing very, very challenging, as it puts it, macroeconomic environment. Amazon, if you remember, is going through laying off 18,000 people, and Advanced Micro Devices AMD has seen a big fall in its semiconductor exports, down about 10%, and will go through a very, very difficult first quarter of the year. That's what they're expecting there. The EU, Brussels is being encouraged to dampen Ukraine's wishes to join the EU bloc. There are obviously discussions taking place about arming and fighter jets and all the rest of it as far as Ukraine is concerned. But this is slightly more fundamental. And because it is such a potentially large, and also poor country, there's a lot of problems being brought to the surface, particularly from France, which obviously fears a large agricultural nation because of its own agricultural needs and industry joining the bloc, and it may well undergo. So the French president is saying, for example, this accession to the EU may take not a year. Ukraine is very much hoping it'll happen by 2024. It could take decades. There's a lot of discussion to take place there. The UK is braced for its biggest strike day today. We've got teachers, train drivers, and civil servants. The CUC, this is the first, which is the sort of the voice of the organised labour movement in the UK, is saying that this is really against the government digging in and not awarding pay increases to public services. Jeremy Hunt, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Finance Minister here, has been facing a lot of criticism from within his own party about remaining strict on the budget. The budget next month in March, of course. But what he's saying is he's not going to offer tax cuts before 2024. That's what he's saying at the moment. And as far as the Northern Ireland Protocol is concerned, this rather difficult thing, it appears as though Rishi Sunak is obviously facing an enormous amount of pressure to get this fixed. It's one of those bits of legislation that was left dangling in the rush to get Brexit done under Boris Johnson. The feeling is that the sides are sort of coming together. There'll be green lanes and there may be red lanes as well, in the same way that there are with normal customs. But the idea is to speed goods through. And finally, oil. Exxon noted didn't have a big share buyback. In the same way that Chevron did. But ExxonMobil said that supplies are quite tight at the moment. They're awaiting, the oil price is actually awaiting the Fed and also the OPEC Plus meeting in a few days' time. And WTI, West Texas Intermediate, is being seen settling at about $80 a barrel until the markets become volatile again. That's the global view this morning.
All right, real quickly, I'm going to India this morning because it is said that India might usurp 2 or 3 other economies to be the third or fourth most dominant economy before the end of 2030. That's the news coming out there. And this budget means a lot because it's a big budget of push. But there's also the case of deficit, $118 billion in deficit for India. What's your outlook on this?
I mean, I would prefer to wait to see the details of what's actually in that budget, because, as I mentioned, I think it's some very, very tough decisions being made. Modi has always prided himself on being very pro-business, from Punjab, and he says that he knows about entrepreneurs, knows about business too, and this is really what really has to be nurtured, I think, in India. And quite right to focus on it. It is a growing population. I mean, all sorts of projections, as you know, have been made about where it's going to be and how big its economy is going to be. But this is really, really difficult for them, and they have considerable problems. I think that what may be in that budget will be an increase in infrastructure plans, but I couldn't be certain. I can't read the mind of the finance minister there, but he has all the cabinet has a really, really tough job to do.
All right, let's go to England. Biggest strike or walkout in a decade. We have strikes from across 7 unions, teachers, train drivers, from the university and the likes. But I want to focus on the teachers' walkout. The National Education Union have said that from today they have 7 days where they'd be staging a walkout to protest again around pay, saying that in reflection of the economy, their pay hasn't improved. Now, parents have sympathize with them, saying that retention of teachers in the UK is very poor, and so their children's education is affected anyway, with the strike or without the strike, even with the teachers walking out because of the condition of employment. However, a criticism for Gillian Keegan, Education Secretary, that this government hasn't responded properly, to teachers and their concerns. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, and in terms of the teachers' wages and how well teachers in the UK are faring.
They're not. I mean, we're talking about state schools, presumably. They are not. They are not paid what they anywhere near the kind of value, if they're any good, they bring to the economy. I think the wrinkle that I don't like about it is, and I think that fortunately, I'm sort of beyond that, my own household here, but I think a lot of parents are very, very worried indeed, not least because there is no obligation, get this, there is no obligation for teachers to let their head teachers know as to whether or not they're going on strike. And a lot of them don't want to go on strike. And I know that you want to talk about teachers, but I'd like to bring in nurses as well. I have a neighbour in the village where I live who's an oncologist, and he does not want to go on strike. He says, I can't go on strike. I may be forced to do it, but I don't want to. And he says a lot of the nurses within his own oncology unit, dealing obviously with cancer, the patients cannot be just left. He can't walk away from his patients. And I think a lot of people are feeling that too. And I'm suspecting there's a lot of teachers, because some are not there for the money. I mean, if you're there for the money, you're probably in the wrong job. A teacher, a good teacher is a vocation, isn't it? Rather than a place to earn a lot of money. You simply do not earn a lot of money. I don't think that teachers are paid. Education does not attract people who are after money. If you want to do that, you go and work in the city, work for financial services and so on. So I think that bubbling it all up, I think that basically you've got teachers who are not sure whether they actually want to go on strike. I'm sure a lot do. They're under no obligation to get in touch with their head teachers and say, oh, by the way, I'm not coming into work today. And parents must be tearing their hair out right now, wondering whether or not to take the kids to school because they simply don't know. I don't think that's the way to go about this. But, you know, I mean, again, public sector people, public sector, you know, if you join the public sector, you don't go there for the money. You go there because it's the public sector. You feel you want to give something back to the country. And also, of course, what you do get is an inflation-linked pension at the end of it, which, of course, if you're working for a private company, that is absolutely not guaranteed, as you well know.
Well, Michael, we're trying to manage time, but within the short time available, two quick things. White House says ExxonMobil is making outrageous profits. The ExxonMobil boss says no, they are making profit because their strategy is very good. Obviously, ExxonMobil is going to fight back in case the White House is considering windfall tax, considering the fact also that they are taking the EU to court over the same matter. And then secondly, Jay Powell, we expect to hear from him at 2 p.m. Eastern Time today. Now, investors, S&P 500 companies, they are expecting that, it will be a quarter point. What if, the Federal Reserve decides to retain, maybe half percentage point or, even go higher, considering the fact that his commitment is to tame inflation, as you pointed out, not to S&P 500. How would the markets react?
I agree with you. It is very confusing, isn't it? And the markets have costed in a 0.25% interest rate rise. Why they do this and how they will react if it's not that and it's more, I suspect they will probably run and hide and people will sell like they normally do. This is the sort of volatility which is acting against proper investment and so on, because it's just, and I'm certain that what Jerome Powell will say is he will remain hawkish because that's his job. He will say that my biggest fight is inflation, and it's the same as it is in this country as well, because you'll be hearing a lot more of this. There is a phrase that cutting inflation is like a tax cut. You'll be hearing a lot of politicians using that kind of phraseology. It's beginning to catch on. Not necessarily true, of course, but that's what they're seeing at the moment. So he will defend his hawkishness, but what he will also be saying is, please just remain calm for the moment and just see if we can do this fight against inflation together. That's the sort of message I suspect that he will probably give about that. As far as ExxonMobil is concerned, well, I mean, they're talking about the oil market being excessively tight. They have not done a big share buyback and so on, and they will be opening themselves up to the usual kind of cries for a windfall tax. I mean, those are not going to go away. Whether or not they're effective or not is a different question. But those cries will not be going away as a result of whatever ExxonMobil actually says.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. Now for business updates across the African continent. Rotus Odiri joins us. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning to all our viewers. Yeah, it's the month of love, and we need these new notes so we can spend.
Yes, especially bachelors, perhaps.
Oh, yes,
bachelors
so
will need new notes.
We need those new
to
notes.
buy flowers
and we need
chocolates.
You know how it is. You know how it is.
Bachelors and married men. Exonerate the married men.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
yeah, married
let's start
people
with the bachelors first.
So you've already played that special report on the central bank governor meeting with the House of Reps ad hoc committee on the cashless, drive and so on. And he clarified, of course, the fact that that February 17th grace period is pretty much just for, of course, the tender is no longer legal tender, but if we take a look at the parameters here, that 7-day grace period from February 10th to the 17th, which he mentioned, the CBN Act, Section 20, subsection 3, is to allow people to go to a CBN center to go and pretty much move those notes through. And then you're looking at the CBN Act, Section 20, subsection 3. And then Mr. Dogoa was pretty happy with hearing from the central bank governor and said that, everything's fine now. But they've also, the House of Reps, they've approved the restructuring of the 1 trillion advance for the supplementary budget. So I think they're going to tweak that. However, they kicked the can down the road for the restructuring of the 22 trillion. And I don't know what, they're telling themselves, but as Tupac famously said, you can tell the people you roll with whatever you want, but you and I know what's going on. And everybody knows that what's going on is that this debt has to be sorted out at some point. So they can skip it for now, postpone it. The day of reckoning is still going to come. Transcorp. Vice President Osibanjo, well, he's throwing his weight behind the cashless economy, basically saying that it's going to help with, less vote buying, more tracing, more free and fair elections and the like. And then if you look at, the numbers, that's January through September of last year, we've seen an increase in instant, payments, mobile, POS, less checks actually, and they're all slightly more. But do you guys still write checks? Does anyone still write checks? And then e-bills as well, also climbing. I haven't seen a checkbook in like 3 years. So those are also. Matthew, you still write checks? Amazing. Okay. All right. And then Transcorp, I think about, 240 megawatts to the national grid with a new, I think it's the Transafam grid in Rivers. There's power station there. Basically, they've also, Transcorp, have set up cleaning rooms that allow them to actually complete maintenance for which is good, in the country, as opposed to sending them out of the country. We get to Ghana. They raised rates by less than expected, which might be a precursor to what we expect from the Federal Reserve later today, since inflation is decelerating in the States, but not in Ghana. Ghana has the highest negative real return in the world. So you look at year-on-year inflation at 54% as of December. Their inflation ceiling is 10%, so it is quintuple their ceiling. NPR, as you know, that was raised to 28%. So you 28 minus 54 is where you get that negative real return. And then interestingly enough, when people say Africa is a country, the IMF has asked Ghana to stop taking loans from the central bank. Does that sound familiar? Ghana had to plug its finances, and they've been borrowing from the central bank. Apparently, according to Bloomberg, they've borrowed about 40 billion cedis, which is just 3.2 billion. And I say just because ways and means is about. So yeah, that's your Africa business.
I didn't say that. I just said it was ways and means anyway. But it just shows, when you lack discipline, you suffer. Yanis Varoufakis, former Greek finance minister, wrote a very important book. I've read that book 6 times over because it's sweet to read. It's called "And the Weak Must Suffer What They Must." You know what he said in the story? He told the story of Greece when they suffered the economic crunch and they became the begging bowl of Europe because they did everything wrong. A lot of people forget that prior to that time, Greece hosted the Olympics. That there was massive corruption. They splurged billions wasted. And when they became the begging bowl of Europe, everybody started tossing them around.
Especially Germany.
Because of our indiscipline, because of Ghana's indiscipline, you're seeing what they're suffering. Because of Nigeria's indiscipline, you're seeing what. That's why Moody has downgraded us again, C11, with a stable outlook. So the new leader that'll come in, and that's why I say Happy New Month is the month of breakfast.
Yeah.
Some people might get emotional breakfast, some people might get political breakfast at the end of this month. But one thing is certain, people will get breakfast. And it is how we carry on from here that matters for the economy. A very good spot as regards the Transco installation, 240 megawatts to our grid. I just hope it's sustained, and I just hope we work on our distribution so we can at least carry it out to the grid and give it to the small businesses that need it.
Yeah.
I'm happy you talked about ways and means. Every nation must suffer what they must, and the weak must suffer what they must. It is sad that Nigeria, Ghana, we've become weak because of bad decisions over the years. And I'm happy Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu even talked about those bad decisions.
He's talking about the exchange
by
rates.
saying no brain. They didn't manage it well. From 200 to 800. It's very honest.
All right, I'll just touch very quickly on Osinbajo, VP Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who's been a bit quiet, hasn't he? Apart from condolence visits, and he's been a bit quiet now. I mean, it's towards the end of his tenure.
Indeed.
But talking about his backing of the cashless economy, I think that goes without saying, because again and again we have talked about the importance of a cashless economy. The CBN had come out with a plan, especially around financial inclusion, getting the unbanked banked, and part of the redesign policy is to promote, promote a cashless economy. However, as has been seen again and again, I don't know about you, but how has using your app been? For a number of Nigerians, it's been a nightmare in the past few days.
They've been overwhelmed.
Yes. So we talk about a cashless economy, but the question still begs, do we have the technological infrastructure to manage or to adopt a cashless economy? This is a big question. We need to ask bank questions. We need to find out what the plans are. It's not just to make, to introduce policies that are great like this. It's to ensure that there are, there's infrastructure to support great policies like that. So this is just to call out banks to begin to, if we're going to deepen, financial inclusion, we must ensure that we have the technology to support this.
Indeed.
Unfortunately, currently we don't.
Indeed.
Well, Ghana first. Under President Nana Akufo-Addo, the Ghanaian economy has been grossly mismanaged.
Facts.
Which was why, the Ghanaian cedi is one of is in fact considered probably the weakest currency in the world in terms of its value against the dollar. And hence, Ghana, finding itself in a fiscal space that it cannot manage any longer, had to go to the IMF. IMF has given, in principle, approval in principle, for a loan of $3 billion. But for the final approval, IMF does not come to your rescue without conditions. Some people call it conditionalities. One of the conditions they've given is zero financing for government, ways and means, either for the government or for the Cocoa Board. The Cocoa Board tried to put out bonds recently. In the past, the CBN, the Central Bank of Ghana, will step in. If it is undersubscribed, they will rescue the Cocoa Board. They did not do so this time. No. So this is a lesson. If you mismanage your economy and you go to IMF, they will slam you with conditionalities that could even put you in dire straits. Where is the irony? While you are telling us that Ghana, has been told that zero financing is what IMF is asking for with regard to ways and means. In Nigeria yesterday, our House of Representatives approved 1 trillion naira, which is also a way of approving ways and means for the government, which is a violation. We keep arguing of Section 38 of the CBN Act. Ironic. One story in Ghana, another story. But the House of Reps will say, well, we didn't go as far as the 22.7 trillion, but that's no excuse. So there are lessons we can learn from there finally. As for the CBN, I keep saying that grace period of February 10 to February 17 already takes care of the expectation of the House of Representatives. But what we don't know is the logistical problems that will arise. CBN is saying you come and redeem upon demand at CBN.
Right.
Not through the banks.
Right.
How many Nigerians know CBN offices?
Exactly.
I can't remember when last I saw a branch of CBN in any part
Broad
of
Street
Nigeria.
in Lagos.
But I know that they are.
Yeah.
I know one in Abeokuta.
Right.
I know the one in Broad Street in Lagos.
Right.
But is it everywhere in Nigeria?
That's the
And
question.
the average individual, how will he access the CBN as an individual carrying lorry loads of old notes?
Exactly. Good points. Good
Thank
points.
you very
Good
much.
points. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Rotus,
you.
for
Thank
bringing
you.
us the African Business, Global African Business Report. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hi, I'm Pat Rankin, and they don't call me World Best for no reason. I only deal with the best. Be it auto or business, 100% claim is always guaranteed.
Welcome to world-class insurance services. We are Anchor Insurance.
Where insurance truly works.
Nigeria has a problem.
A really big problem. The problem has made our country sick.
And we cannot remain sick for 4 more years.
Nigeria is sick with insecurity,
poverty,
rising cost of living,
and an escalating Japa crisis.
The good thing is,
Nigeria has a pathway to recovery.
And when we recover, our country will be safe.
When we recover, our economy will grow.
When we recover,
our nation will be stronger. We have to recover from this sickness.
So we can recover from lost ground.
Recover our time, recover our future,
and our dignity
on the African continent. In 2023,
it is Nigeria time to recover.
And together, we can get it done.
Working for Arise remains one of the most enjoyable jobs I've had in my career. It was exhilarating. No day was ever the same. Some days were exhausting. Some days were beyond exciting. But I can guarantee you that no day was ever the same. We interviewed a plethora of people, everybody from Lupita Nyong'o to Alicia Keys to Neo to Tyson Beckford to Gladys Knight. The list goes on and on. It's one of the only shows where you could interview a literary titan and a rapper in one episode. It was never a dull moment at Arise. And one of the things I love most about that network is that Nduka really gave us all an opportunity to find our voices, to work as hard as we could, and to deliver the best product every day. He trusted us, he believed in us, he had faith in us, and we helped him build a global network. And here we are, 10 years later, Arise, still standing. Many networks have come and gone. Some people have tried, many have failed, but here Arise is. Congratulations, Arise. Happy, happy anniversary.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Malabai.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record, and I will start from above the masthead. Again, Tinubu attacks Buhari's government, says the Met exchange rate at 200 naira to the dollar. Now it's 800 naira to the dollar. Promises to make Cross River Nigeria's tourism hub. In Anambra, former Lagos governor slams Atiku Obi. I like Tinubu. Yes, I like his candor. Because if there's fuel scarcity, say so. It doesn't matter whether you are from the same party. And he did exactly that. If the redesign of the Naira is causing confusion and Nigerians are shouting, don't pretend because you are a member of the ruling party. Just say so. And of course, the dollar. Of course, what he has said is the truth. So you cannot fault him for that. And if you are saying, who are they that he's talking about? Of course, I will just take explanation from his own playbook. Is the powers that be. That's what he said in Abeokuta. Well, the campaign is on, and I hope somebody will not try to put a spin on this very clear statement. Of course, we had a soundbite earlier on this program where he made this statement. I just wonder what the handlers of Asiwaju will be saying, because some time ago, Asiwaju once said, they have asked me to stick to the script and don't veer off. But again, he cannot help himself when it comes to that. He has to say it as it is. Well, let's just look at other stories quickly. The lead story, cash swap. Old banknotes redeemable only at CBN after deadline, says Emefiele. Insists old 200 naira, 500 naira, 1,000 naira no longer tenable after February 10. Pledges no Nigerian will lose their money. Seeks government support. Accuses commercial banks of breaking CBN's guideline. Reiterates EFCC, other security agencies working with Apex Bank on new naira distribution of monitoring. Lawmakers elated with CBN Governor's explanation. Pass 1 trillion naira ways and means loan request. Yes, CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele appeared at the House of Reps Committee hearing yesterday. And of course, after all the threats of arrest, he showed up and he explained his absence, tendered an apology, and the apology was accepted. Now his explanations, only CBN. You can only take your old notes to CBN after February 17. Now, if you still have your old notes at home at this time, you have an explanation to make. If by February 10 you are still keeping old notes at home, then you have some explanations to also make. So go to CBN and explain. Because I don't know why anybody should still be keeping old notes. If there's so much that you cannot take them at once, you are taking them in tranches to the bank, then you have an explanation to make for converting your house into a bank vault. So I think CBN is spot on this. Yes, you can return your bank notes after that date, but you go to the CBN and deposit. I'm sure you fill some forms where you will make some explanation. So kudos to that. But the situation on the streets for the ordinary Nigerians. Now, if you look at the Guardian newspaper, cash squeeze intensifies, stalls businesses, transactions. And of course, the New Telegraph, Naira redesign, no one will lose money after February 10, Emefiele. But the Punch newspaper is reporting new Naira racketeering, EFCC to raid Lagos, Kaduna, Port Harcourt currency hawkers. CBN bars multiple debit cards withdrawal, threatens stiffer sanctions. Emefiele meets reps, orders banks to accept old notes after deadline. Central bank stops old notes payouts, but some banks are still paying because when you get to the bank, you cannot get a new note. You just ask them, please just give me anything. Let me go and do my shopping or transactions. Central bank, yes. Now, if you look at the front page, of course, you see queues from different cities, Abuja, Ogun State, and of course, Lagos. These are queues of people waiting to use the ATMs to collect cash. And when you finish that, you go and queue up at the petrol station to buy fuel. So it's been hellish in the last couple of weeks for Nigerians, and they are not finding it funny at all. Now, the Business Day newspaper, new Naira, petrol scarcity, ground businesses as sales slump, easing inflation, seen threatened. Now, Vanguard newspaper, election logistics in danger with fuel scarcity, INEC. True, because we are mobilizing about 100,000 vehicles, 4,000 buses for deployment of personnel and materials to 176,846 polling units spread across 8,809 registration areas in 774 local governments across the country. Now, if this fuel scarcity persists, INEC is saying it may affect their logistics. We hope something will be done. Something drastic will be done. And I was just reading a report in this day. Military threatens to deploy officers nationwide if petrol scarcity persists. Irabo reads Riot Act warns stakeholders against testing federal government's resolve. Kyari blames smuggling, fraudulent practices for fuel shortage. Well, the Chief of Defense Staff wading in, I'm sure he has the orders of the Commander-in-Chief to say that soldiers may just be deployed to distribute fuel if there is problem. But I hope we have enough drivers to do that. But I think it tells you the severity of the situation right now concerning petrol scarcity in the country. People spending hours, spending overnight just to buy fuel in their cars. Now, the foreign newspapers, quickly, the Times of London, Britain and EU set for Northern Ireland deal, breakthrough on customs and court dispute. Yes, of course, the UK and the EU, they seem to have struck a customs deal that could pave the way for ending the years of post-Brexit wrangling over Northern Ireland. Of course, the EU has accepted a proposal that would avoid the need for routine checks on products destined for the province. And of course, EU has also considered considered for the first time that the European Court of Justice could rule on issues only if a case were referred by the Northern Ireland. Previously, they have insisted that the European Commission should be able to take cases straight to the courts. And of course, the strikes in the UK today, the Guardian newspaper is reporting 500,000 to go on strike today. Train workers, teachers, civil servants, all going on strike today.
On that note, that is called Walkout Wednesday in Britain. And of course, the interesting thing is that Gillian Keegan, the Education Secretary, is saying that any teacher that goes on strike must not be paid. 20,000 state schools are involved in this. When she says, don't pay them if they go on strike, I think that will sound very familiar.
Yes.
And then I don't know whether you congratulate Nigeria. We moved up in Transparency International Index, Corruption Index ranking. From 154, we are now 150 out of 184
with
countries.
With the same score as last year.
Yes, but we moved up 4 rankings.
Because others fair.
Anyway, we don't want to congratulate your country. Don't talk down your country. Anyway, we'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Kola Ologbondiyan, spokesperson, People's Democratic Party Presidential Campaign Council. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles. As long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select Loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
This is a different kind of energy. That's gang energy. With malt, ginseng, and vitamins. So recharge and take charge. Zag Energy Drink with malt. That's our kind of energy.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Following the speech made during the APC rally in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State Capital earlier on Monday by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC, that the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, was a former Senate president. Atiku.
They have no mandate. What they have now ice cream. It melt quick. You get me? They are yeye people. Atiku, when we make him Senate president, Abba, you sell this, you sell that, assets, our commonwealth, our patrimony, everything that we have, we sell them, we become skeleton. Atiku no care.
As vice president.
As vice president.
Atiku Abubakar has since reacted to Tinubu's comment by telling the APC candidate that he was never a Senate president. Atiku also noted that Aso Rock is neither a sanatorium nor a mental institution. Hence, Nigerians have a right to demand that any aspirant to that office should be in the best state of health. In a strict reaction, Festus Keyamo, SAN, spokesperson for the APC Presidential Campaign Council, tweeted that Tinubu referred to Atiku as someone who we will make a selling president, who will begin to sell all our assets. Joining us now from Abuja studio is Kola Ologbondiyan, spokesperson, PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Well, good to have you on the program, the morning show, Kola Ologbondiyan. You listened to that introduction. So, is your presidential candidate a selling president? Or was the reference to him having been made a Senate president? And was he at any time selling president or, Senate president? We just need that clarification. And then secondly, there was a statement by Garuba Shehu indicating that there was no attack on the president in Kano, and that was made up by people promoting fake news. He said more or less the same thing that Bayo Ononuga of the APC Campaign Council said. So, Debo Logunagba, who issued a statement saying, this was an attack by the APC on the president, where Garuba Shehu now says PDP is lying, that was a conflict between those stone, lifters and what you call the Kano State Transportation Authority. So please, can you help us clarify these two issues? And if you guys are selling something, please let us know what your candidate is selling.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ruben Abati, and good morning to Ayo and Rufai. Let me begin by congratulating the Arise News on his first 10 years, and let me also congratulate the inimitable chairman, Nduka Obaegbena, for the journey so far in Arise. I was also a part of it in the beginning. Having said that, let me go straight first to the issue of Asiwaju, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, over his comments in Akwa Ibom. Let me start by saying that Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu showed huge ingratitude to the governor of Akwa Ibom State, who did not only provide him a vehicle that took him to his venue, but also ensure that the place was secured, and also ensure that even the coffee that he drank was provided by him. But in spite of all this, in his characteristic abusive manner, he went after Governor Emmanuel Udom, calling him names. He also proceeded to accuse our presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. It is known to every Nigerian that the privatization policy was not the making of Atiku Abubakar. The privatization policy was a policy of the Obasanjo Atiku's administration. And it is hellish for any Nigerian, including Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to now turn around and begin to say that, oh, Atiku sold things, Atiku sold this, Atiku sold that. After all, the DG, Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, when Atiku was Vice President, was the current governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, who in his book declared that Asiwaju wanted to strip Nigeria with Aaron. And as a matter of fact, it will go into the issue of selling. The Obasanjo administration, its privatization policy was believed to be in the interest of our nation. Would you compare that situation to what we have in Lagos State, where Tinubu is alleged to have stripped the entire state of the property of the state? So for us, and I keep saying this, Dr. Abati, and you remember that in the beginning, I went around the platforms, Arise and others, and I canvassed that let this campaign be issue-based. But because the Tinubu team have nothing, absolutely nothing to tell Nigerians, because they cannot bring their principal to come and sit on a situation like this, in a situation room like this, and debate with Nigerians, all they have to resort to is abuses. But we will not be distracted in our campaign. We are waiting to see how Nigerians will elect an abusive presidential candidate and elect an abusive vice presidential candidate. I know that Nigerians are wiser than that situation, and Bola Tinubu is going nowhere. Okay. Having said that, you also raised the question of what happened in Kano over attack. Well, the videos were everywhere, and I have a video of that also as circulated on the social media. But if the people who are fighting are becoming quarrelsome in the eyes of the public and now say that they are not quarreling, it is their own choice. But Nigerians out there are aware that President Muhammadu Buhari was said to have been advised not to come to Kano State, a subnational state under his purview, because his security will not be guaranteed. I noticed that my respected boss in the industry, Malam Garba Shehu, avoided that track. We are also aware, we also saw video of people who were throwing stones and pebbles. We also saw video of young men who were saying that, oh, Buhari must not come. If he came to Kano, he will be stoned, and he will know the difference between why the poorest people on the earth are the strongest. All the videos are out. But if they now turn around and say they don't have quarrel, so be it. But Dr. Abati, you are also aware that just yesterday, Bola Tinubu in Calabar proceeded further on his abuses to those in power, not to the PDP, because he said they cannot think, and that is why dollar moved from 200 naira to 800 naira. I don't think that is a sign of brotherhood. I don't think that is what a party member would tell its president. So he's or her president. So I want to leave this discussion at this level.
Okay, thank you and welcome to the show. So let me ask you a question also, an allegation, or perhaps one thing the APC camp has said is that the PDP is responsible for the fuel scarcity, the lingering fuel scarcity. I know your camp has addressed that, but it'll be good to clear, because Nigerians are suffering. And so when they say that you're the ones who are sabotaging the economy, you're responsible for the fuel scarcity, you're responsible for the scarcity of the new Naira notes. I'd like you to respond to that, as well as the fact that in December, Comrade Adams Oshiomhole, who is the Deputy DG of the Tinubu-Shettima Campaign Council, also said that the years of PDP rule and the refineries is what is causing the incessant fuel scarcity. Please respond to these comments.
Ayo, good morning. Thank you very much. I don't understand where the APC people are coming from each time they come to the public arena. But let me lay a foundation for you, which perhaps you haven't heard, or maybe you are even aware already, which is that the pain in the Tinubu camp is the fact that every strategy that they have tried to adopt in this campaign has failed them. And failed them woefully. One, they were going to campaign with Lagos State. Then it dawned on Nigerians. As well, Bola Tinubu is not the only governor that has ruled in Lagos State now. There were governors before him. There were governors after him. How can he alone, Mr. Emilokon, appropriate the successes of those who preceded him and those who came after him? They discovered that it wasn't selling. They went back to the Buhari administration achievements, if there are any, which they had earlier said they will not touch, that to constitute an embarrassment. They cannot campaign on Buhari's glory, if he has any. They went back to it. Now Nigerians rose and said, what are you talking about? You say you want to keep that legacy? Legacy of hunger, of suffering, of pains, of anguish? Is that what you are saying? They abandoned it. Now they have finally and conclusively resorted to abuse. Like I said, intimidation, bamboozling. And who is going to give our nation to those type of people? So this is where they are coming from. And that is why at every opportunity, they will say, oh, 16 years. 16 years? You have done almost half of that 16 years. And the situation has become worse in every sphere of our national life. And you think that Nigerians will buy into that? Nigerians are not ready to buy into that. So when they came to the public arena and spoke to the issue of fuel scarcity and say, oh, they were talking to PDP, whereas it was clear, even to any idiot, that we were attacking President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. Even if President Muhammadu Buhari's administration said that, oh, they are not attacking them like the PDP that they are attacking. Okay, so be it, but Nigerians know the truth. Who didn't change the Naira? The PDP administration never changed the Naira. The PDP administration is not in charge of the economy policy of the country. The PDP administration is not today responsible for the oil and gas. The Minister of Oil as we speak today is President Muhammadu Buhari. So how can an attack on the oil and gas, how can an attack on the CBN Governor be said to be an attack on the People's Democratic Party? It's laughable. Like I say always, there's a disconnect somewhere.
Mr. Ologudio, good to see you. Happy New Month. Let's go straight in. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Ologudio. Okay, we'll go for a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more.
million hectares of arable land, over 200 million people, one nation. Home to Africa's fertilizer company. Dangote Fertilizer. Pure urea fertilizer. With one single-minded passion to feed Nigeria. Every bag is a potential an aspiration to turn this green nation into the biggest food basket of Africa. Dangote Fertilizer.
There is only one place that the world will come to run on Saturday the 4th of February 2023. Over bridges, waterfronts, running across 10 kilometers and 42 kilometers of asphalt. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon will be targeting 100,000 runners from around the world, ready to flood the streets of Lagos. The 10-kilometer race will set off at 9:30 a.m. at the Grace Court Garden Events Place, Durasimi Eti, Lekki Phase 1, while the 42-kilometer race will set off at 6:30 a.m. in front of the iconic National Stadium, Surulere, and both races will finish on top of the sandy shores of the stunning Eco Atlantic City. From Oshodi to Oworu, Alakbere to Admiralty, Ikoyi to Eco Atlantic, the race is routed through the warm, meandering feet blistering streets of this historic city. So what are you waiting for? Get ready to push beyond the limit. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon 2023. Make it count. At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Welcome back to the morning show right here on the Rise News channel. I will still have Kola Ologbodi, your spokesperson, PDP Presidential Campaign Council. Mr. Kola Ologbodi, good to see you. Happy New Month. Great to talk to you. Wish you the very best. I'm coming to this because Mr. Festus Keyamo took your candidate or said he was going to file a case in court about your candidate because of a video that was released, and he talked about setting SPVs. Also, you had a press conference to counter that. You talked about Colombia and transactions involving a certain Colombian. Let us talk about all those issues. Let's bring it to this table this morning. What's been going on with the court case and what's been going on with your case about the Colombian?
Well, thank you very much. To the best of our knowledge in the campaign, we are not aware because I don't think, as at last night, to the best of my understanding, I don't think we have been served. And nobody has told me that there are court documents that are hanging around in our campaign of service. But I am also aware that on the Colombian matter and on the drug-related issue concerning the forfeiture of $460,000 and the fact that the court convicted Bola Ahmed Tinubu, people are in court. We are also not unaware about the miseries being sent around and the need for issues to be resolved amicably, and the campaign continues. We are also not unaware of people who are running around in the courts to find out where the matter. Hello?
Hang on a minute, Mr. Ologbodi. You said emissaries are being sent from what campaign to make sleeping dogs lie on this issue? Who sent emissaries to who?
When I say that emissaries are being sent, it is directly proportional to the fact that emissaries are being sent to our campaign on the need to leave all those issues and concentrate on the campaign, on the need to create a harmony between the Atiku campaign and Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaign. And we're also aware of people who are going around the courts to also go and search to know where the matter is being filed, but they should wait for it. Whether Nigerians will allow a convicted personality to be their president. At any rate, the songs on the streets are clear to listeners. It is clear, and even the campaign, as you can see gradually, the campaign of Tinubu has collapsed internally and outwardly. So we are not bothered about those allegations. We are not bothered about getting hirelings and going around to hire blackmailers to come after Atiku. We are not bothered. Atiku was vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who had been investigated, like I'd always said on this platform, and not one indictment had been found, and not one conviction had been found. But when the Tinubu people come out to the public arena to speak, what I normally ask myself is that, do these people have a process of checking themselves, doing due diligence check upon themselves before they come to the public arena? Yesterday, while we were in Sokoto, His Eminence, the Sultan, counselled that we should speak to issues and avoid abuses. It is clear. If you go and check the trajectory of this campaign, you will not find one place where it was the Atiku campaign that came out with an onslaught. We have always been the victim, but we have a responsibility to defend the candidate of Nigerians, the one that Nigerians are rallying with and whom they want to make their president, and that's Atiku Abubakar.
Okay, just some clarification. You said Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu drank coffee in Akwa Ibom. You know him so well that you know what he drinks, whether it's coffee or tea. I hope you are not working on both sides of the fence. However, I saw the press statement.
Dr. Abati.
Yes.
Yes.
So I saw the press statement issued by the Akwa Ibom state government on the matter. And they were very specific. It's signed by Comrade Ini, Mobong. And he was saying that the attack on Akwa Ibom state was unwarranted, and that, you know, the state government is demanding an apology from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, considering the fact that they provided facilities and approved the facilities, and also that he now used the campaign to say he would take over a certain residence in Akwa Ibom state. That's what the press release was talking about. And third, that he referred to Dom Emmanuel as he calls himself a governor, you know, and that Dom Emmanuel is duly elected. So those are the issues in the statement by the Akwa Ibom state government. But you added they gave him coffee to drink, to eat. Maybe you need to clarify that. But beyond that, still in that Akwa Ibom, there is an issue about the governorship election. The candidate of the PDP, Umo Eno, you know, was removed by the court and replaced by Honorable Enyong, who is now, you know, likely to be the PDP candidate. But the national legal advisor of the party says he will not get involved because across the states, you know, people just go to court without reference to the office of the national legal advisor, who has the authority to initiate legal proceedings on behalf of the party. What exactly is the problem here? I know that the party has also issued a statement saying people should not go to court on behalf of the party. Is this a case of territoriality, even when the individuals, as in the case of Umena, has a local standard in the matter?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Abati. As you know, I'm no longer a member of the National Working Committee of the party, and I don't like dwelling on issues that I don't have control over. But having said that, on the issue of coffee, has Bola Ahmed Tinubu come out to say that he didn't drink coffee in Akwa Ibom? He won't say so, because I know that as part of the hospitality culture of Akwa Ibom people, whom Governor Udom Emmanuel truly represents and has always demonstrated, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not say that he didn't drink coffee in Akwa Ibom State. Because every facility that was required to make his stay successful was provided. How that kind of a person turned around to become abusive to a host that did well is part of the disconnection that we are always talking about. But having said that, I'm aware that on the governorship candidate issue, that appeal and all the necessary legal instruments have been filed concerning the candidate that was truly elected at the primaries of the party.
All right, okay, thank you. Since we're talking about elections and challenges with some elections, let's go to the Osun State governorship elections. In the recent ruling, Justice Kume, the chairman of the tribunal, had ruled in favor of Governor Wega Oyetola, saying there was overvoting in the state and around issues with the results from beavers, data collected from beavers. Beyond Osun State, because I know that the Osun State candidate, who is a PDP member and is the Southwest coordinator, is going to go ahead to the appeal court. I'd like you to evaluate what this portends for elections, because we have only a few more days to 25th of February. And if we're having issues with beavers, contrary reports around voting numbers, I'd like to see what your party is, the position of your party with regards to this.
Oh, thank you very much, Ayo. Well, since you said that the governor of Osun State, the Governor Demola Adeleke, is proceeding to the Court of Appeal, I think we should leave that. But however, what's important, and I need to tell you, is that ahead of the presidential election, our agents, our coalition officers, every interest, every personality that is going to be involved in the presidential election and other elections, particularly the National Assembly election and the governorship and State House of Assembly elections, are undergoing training as we speak on this program. And this has been on for weeks. So we have no fears. If election is to be held today, the People's Democratic Party and all our candidates, being led by Atiku Abubakar, the people's candidate, is ready. And we will win the election on a first run. Thank you very much.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one will be outlook on Abia, because now you have zoned Abia due to the unfortunate incident of the death of the PDP governorship candidate in Abia. Number two will be me needing a clarification, and this clarification will be as regards, you said that some people have been sending emissaries to the PDP not to talk again about a press conference you did and some investigations. Secondly, how far will the PDP take all of these investigations you said you have? Because you treated Nigerians to a press conference, and you can't just make it a political gimmick between both of you. When they beg you, you settle it. And Nigerians have a right to know about what happened to those accounts and all of that. And is there still more coming up? Thirdly, and please, if you can do all of this in 4 minutes. Thirdly, will be what is happening in Lagos. The back and forth between the PDP and APC accusations as regards what's happened in Surulere, Togri, and the likes. What's your take on all these three issues, please?
Thank you very much, Rufai. On Abia, it is clear that we are going for a primary election. And the feelers I'm getting, it looks like, the ticket might return to where it was originally zoned to. I cannot speak much on this. Like I said earlier, I'm not in the working committee. It's the duty of the working committee. On the issue of emissaries, it is clear, and I can repeat it over and over, that emissaries are being sent. And there's no argument about that on the need to, oh, no, you people should drop all these allegations and all that. However, the leader of the pack, at every opportunity, will still go after Atiku Abubakar. Speak to Nigerians on what you want to do. Come to Arise. Let Nigerians ask you questions. Choose to even go to TVC. Let Nigerians see you engaging in a 10-minute debate. They will run away. They can't bring up their principle. It's only allegations. But let me assure you of one thing, that our party will do everything necessary in respect of any commitment that we have provided to Nigerians. And having said that also, you have also raised the question of insecurity. In the beginning, our party came out to raise the flag about the fact that Jagaban Army is a conduit to bring together thugs, arsonists, that will ensure that they cause havoc during the elections. And we have also even said that President Muhammadu Buhari should call a meeting of the National Security Council to address the issue of this rogue army. And they cannot provide any defense. They will not be able to defend it. Part of it is what we are seeing happening in Surulere and other places. Rufai, don't forget that in the 2019 election, apart from the threat of throwing people into the ocean, in areas that are dominated by those whom they believe will not vote for their candidate, they almost did not allow elections to hold. These are facts, these are there. And now that the leader of the pack, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is the one contesting, you can imagine what will happen. So I believe that the INEC and our security agencies have a lot of roles to play if indeed we want to have a free, fair, credible election. They must ensure that the Jagaban Army is publicly disbanded. They must ensure that security agencies will protect those who have come to vote and allow their votes to be protected. This is very important.
Well, thank you very much, Kola Ologbondiyan. Just a quick point about your reaction to Jagabami. Dayo Isra, who is the APC National Youth Leader, has since issued a statement to say that the Jagaban Army is a democratic, peaceful organization and that it's not, put together to violate any laws of the land. However, I've also pointed out on this program that you can't wear a uniform that looks like the uniform of any of the branches of the Nigerian army. That would be a violation of Section 111 of the 1999 Constitution. But he has issued a statement to that effect. Anyway, thank you very much, Kola Ologbondiyan. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Mike Osatui, National Controller Operations, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
One shot power for your side. It gon' knock you down. I'm a temp salt gel. Are you are? Me I can tell you no say. Malaria my lessons when no get bad days. Oh, bitter days come out and it easy to swallow. I got red game changer. I'm a temp salt gel. Say no to malaria. Yes to life.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband buy.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Can you Atiku Abubakar makoga niru Nigeria? Tinyelu Atiku Abubakar makante wobodo. Makoga niru makodina manke Nigeria. Tunye bestelu chawo.
adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
My daughter-in-law, so how are you planning for my son's birthday? You have to cook for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No. It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chiji, okay. Hi, so wait the market. Please pack some ogirisi. Achi, Opo, Azumbasa. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law. It's arranged. But you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? It's very scarce. I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Isio Morocco. My daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited home.
With 11 kobo per second calls to all networks, the only thing you run out of are things to say. Get a Glow SIM or dial *777# now.
That's silk boo-boo.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jando and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
I was one of the founder anchors of Arise News. And for me, the highlight of my time at Arise, and indeed of my entire journalistic career, was covering the Nelson Mandela funeral from Johannesburg to the Eastern Cape. It really brought home to me my heritage. I was born in South Africa, and for the first time in my journalistic career, being South African or being African mattered. Of course, another iconic story was the Oscar Pistorius trial, which I covered from start to finish. That was more a case of a hero going to zero. And of course, I was really proud of Arise because we were one of the first news organizations to report on Ebola and keep on reporting on Ebola. And then the world took notice. And also we reported on the Chibok girls before anybody else did. I was very proud to have worked at Arise.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. More than 3 months after scarcity of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, emerged in many parts of the country, the federal government of Nigeria is yet to find a solution to the growing menace on citizens. The long queues witnessed on a daily basis keeps increasing with chaotic traffic gridlock, despite President Muhammadu Buhari's 14-man steering committee on petroleum products supply and distribution management to find lasting solutions to disruptions in the supply and distribution of petroleum products. With the commodity selling as high as 260 naira at the pump in many retail stations owned by independent marketers, consumers have questioned the rationale and loud silence of the sole importer, NNPC, which is the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. And the regulator, Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Joining us now to discuss the unending scarcity of fuel in Nigeria is Mike Osatuyi, National Controller, Operations, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN. Good morning, Mr. Osatuyi. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning, Nigerians.
Welcome. Now, President Buhari set up a 14-man committee to address this lingering crisis of fuel scarcity. He, as chairman, Minister of State Petroleum as alternate chair, and then other government officials. And we had raised the question here. Is IPMAN part of that committee? Is DAPMAN there? Is MOMAN there? The other stakeholders, the major stakeholders in making fuel available. As for the Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Agency, only a few days ago, that authority issued a statement saying that, look, NNPC has made available 1.6 billion liters of fuel to cover the next few months, with effect from January 26, that press release stated. And the reason we have this fuel scarcity crisis is because of distribution issues occasioned by cross-border smugglers of petrol. That's the main submission of that statement. So do you have any information about this 1.6 billion liters? And today is February 1. Why are these cross-border smugglers always giving us problems? They say it's because of arbitrage. That's the explanation the Midstream and Downstream Authority gave.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Abati and Nigerians. Let me first of all express my reservation about the question of smuggling. But coming back to your first question of if the operators are member of the committee, we are not member of the committee. Both IPMAN, MOMAN, DAPMAN, and other stakeholders. It's a purely government-constituted committee, government of officials. But at the same time, there's no way they can work without input from the operators, because we have the information, we are the players. So I believe that when the committee is being sworn in, perhaps this week, they will call us for information and for participation in making sure that things work. But having said that, the committee came up because of the failure of NNPC to do their job. And now they're not running, up and down now. Yesterday, they had a meeting in Abuja, which they closed around 10:30 p.m. But if that committee had not been put in place by the president, we are still going to be where we are. But for the young president to be chairing committee to distribute fuel and supply is unfair. It's unfair.
He's the Minister of Petroleum.
Yeah, he's Minister of Petroleum, but somebody has been appointed as CEO of NNPC to ensure supply and distribution of this product for years. So why is it now that they're not calling a meeting when President is now chairing committee to distribute fuel?
Right.
So I'm then coming back to the question of smuggling and arbitrage. Yes, there's smuggling. It's going on because the gap in the pricing is tempting. If you buy fuel here in Nigeria, 5 million, and you are selling it across border for 50 million, even having to pay out, whatever you call it, in the chain, I mean, you still make a good profit. So it's only take fear of God, not for somebody to be involved.
All right, so Pengerson has come out to say that due to the fact that oil marketers have been hoarding the price of petrol, so beyond even smuggling, they talk about the fact that marketers create artificial scarcity so that there can be margins gained. So for instance, in some parts of the country, people are buying PMS at 500 naira per litre, in some places 650 naira per litre, about 3 times the regulated price. I'd like you to respond to that, and also the fact that they've recommended that some marketers should lose their licenses if we're to tackle this issue of lingering fuel scarcity.
Yeah, I mean, Pegasus has right to use that statement. They are the senior member of the NPC. I don't think they have any fault in that or any problem. But the problem we're having, we Ipman, we're having is Nupeng. Because Nupeng, the charge has 300 per litre. Before your truck are even allowed to come in to load. And you cannot load without paying that money. So where do we put that one in the template? So, I mean, for them to say, if I haven't heard that Nupeng say they're going to be picketing who? When they are benefiting from this racketeering. So, Nupeng has, Pegasus has right, and I think they are not involved in this problem. But Nupeng is involved.
So the question is, are marketers hoarding?
We're not hoarding. You see, like me now, like my station, I'm not sold for 6 days because I don't have the product. If I have the product, I would like to turn it over within 2-3 days, go and do another one, come and sell. Because I'm paying bank, we are paying bank loan. And what is gaining hoarding?
Okay, so the truth is, so that means when they say they have 1.6 billion liters, do you believe that, or is audio, like they say in local parlors? Because they say they have 1.6 billion liters, and you don't have products to get, and which has always been the concern of a lot of people. In fact, some industry watchers, when you talk to them, always say that there is no product on ground as we speak, that whatever the government says with 1.6 billion liters is not a reflection of the situation. Is that true or false?
1.6 billion liters can be on the high sea or dry sea, but we don't have it. If we have it, would the whole country be dry? Go to southwest, south, anywhere in the whole country, it's hot. Even
so there's no products?
Well, they know where the product is, but we don't have it to buy. But I must say this one. Yesterday, there was a meeting, and my president of IPMA was there. He has given me feedback of the meeting. And I think I will say sincerely that because of that presidential committee that was put up, NPC now is ready to find solution to this problem.
So it's NPC's fault, right?
It's their fault.
Because they didn't bring in products on the floor.
In fact, wherever they say the product is. But part of what they said yesterday in the meeting, a resolution, was that yes, because we have been complaining that they didn't give us this product directly. They've now agreed now that they're going to open up about 3 or 4 more depots for IPMA now to be loading products to their platform in Lagos or Ghana, Port Harcourt to Calabar. What we have been clamoring for years, that open up the operators go and put the product there. They're not ready to do it now. And that's number 1. Number 2, IPMA depot has even approached IPMA now that they're ready to be selling fuel at official export price in the next 2 weeks. I think they want to, when they get new product. I can say that one authoritatively. IPMA. Yes. Okay. They have said, they have agreed that they are going to, based on yesterday's meeting, which was and they have already told them also that all the ports must comply now. And we IPMA also now, based on this meeting and what we agreed, we are going to be reporting the port that didn't comply. Because enough blaming IPMA is enough.
Okay, fine. It's good you talked about price. You were quoted in one report as saying that even in places where PMS is available, that people don't want to pay at 250 naira per litre. In some places, it's 300 naira per litre. that the reason people don't have fuel, the reason we have queues, is because people are going to cheap retail outlets. So that's like you as the Ipman man blaming helpless Nigerians for not going to look for money to buy at 300. In some places, 400 naira. And maybe in those retail outlets, you won't find queues. But how many Nigerians can afford the 400 naira per liter? You should be defending the masses.
Yeah, based on, you see, that is what I said, that there's what they call express platform put up by NNP's retail, that we should be ordering online. But when you order and you pay, you don't get this product for 2 months, 1 month. So how will I look up my money for 2 months because I want to buy at 180 or 175? Why I can access it for 2 plus, 200 and something plus, and bring to my station and sell and go and buy again. And in fact, we call it see and buy. Right? We call it see and buy because it pays us to go and buy. But now, I think that one has will come to an end in the next 2 weeks. And I believe, based on yesterday's meeting, it was a very serious meeting. Right? For that man now to agree that yes, they will comply with airport price. It means we are getting there. And different people have agreed that they are going to open up more depots for Ipman to be buying at official price. It means they are now serious, which is what they ought to have done since. It means deliberately they didn't do it for some reasons. But now they are serious because they know a very powerful committee of the president is coming up, and all what is in the pot will be laid open.
All right, so with this additional depots and the intervention of the 14-man steering committee and the meeting that you had yesterday, I'd like to ask you, when will Nigerians begin to see a reprieve? That's what many people who are watching want to hear. With these interventions, at what point will these queues reduce or in fact disappear?
Well, from what I gathered now, they're giving them about 14 days to clean up the mess. Whatever to start getting this product as the official price, because what they have in the stock might have come with a very unreasonable cost price to them. But for them to have opened up and approach us, it means that in the next 2 weeks we should be bear with government, and that next 2 weeks we should be able to be buying at a very reasonable price. Because I think they're talking of 188 or 190, which is not bad. As the poor price. So by the time you are, and then even also the Nupen too, they have to be reasonable on the cost of transportation. Not even only on the union they are living. So that everybody must drop all those nonsense we are doing, and then let Nigerians benefit from this subsidy. That's when it's paying.
Okay, so when all of this mess is cleared up, obviously people will not be able to buy for 180, because you said if they give you at X depot 180, you will add your own charges to it, and members will add their own charges to it. I also want to ask, when all of this scarcity has been going on, are some of your Ipman members still been smuggling as usual? Because you said it takes a man of God, a saint, an angel, not to be able to smuggle to Cotonou and other parts. Some of your members, still the small product, they've still been smuggling, yes or no?
We don't smuggle, but at the same time, we have bad egg. We don't drive trucks.
I know.
We don't drive trucks. These Nupen people also drive trucks. If they want to stop smuggling today, let Nupen come on and tell their members, don't drive truck across the border.
But some of them that, are with you people, why all of these are they still been smuggling small, isn't it?
You can't look at the bad egg. I used to say, you can't look at bad egg. We have bad egg across all strata of the system. But at the same time, it takes everybody to say, drop this nonsense, let us be born again.
So how much will you now, if they say to you at X Depot 180, how much will you sell, for instance, in your station?
If they sell to us at 180, then by the time you add your transport, for that's why I said that Nupen has to come in. That how much are they charging us for transport? If they're charging me about 10 per liter, but I add it to my cost, it's going to be 191, 200. But this is the Nupeng fee also, which they must drop. So, and then I need to put at least 10 margin.
Profit. So you
yes.
like 210, 220?
210, yes, 210, 220. It's better than 500.
Well, what specific recommendations are the operators making to government? Because you just talked about the ordinary man benefiting from subsidy. I know previously on this program, you had said subsidy should go. Have you changed your mind about that? So what are those specific things, in terms of subsidy, deregulation, that you think government should do, so that there will be a long-term solution to this fuel scarcity problem?
This suffering, the government should do massive importation quickly, so that the price will come down drastically. That's number one. Number two, I'm still an advocate, and we NIPMAN, we are saying that they should regulate, they should remove subsidy, so that all this killing or this suffering will go. But at the same time, whatever income that is generated from this subsidy saving, which is about 7 trillion per year, should be channeled towards reducing or removing the suffering of Nigerians by channeling towards the critical infrastructures for Nigerians. So, but if 7 trillion is being channeled to rail, transport, whatever, it will also reduce the suffering of Nigerians. And when you regulate, there will be fairness, openness, no corruption, as we have now, and there will be competition. And then you cannot, there will not be rent or arbitrage, and people will now buy at the best price, because if you outprice yourself, you will not sell. So we have more benefit in removing subsidy, in the regulation, than what we are now.
Okay. Let me come back to your statement around Nupeng, because just a quick check. Nupeng had responded last week, and following a Vanguard investigation, they found out that actually marketers make up to 100 naira per litre, and that Nupeng is also accusing the marketers, saying that because of the excess profit you gain, you are exploiting Nigerians. I'm speaking because you have talked again and again about Nupeng being the cause, and they in turn are saying actually it's your fault. You pick up at the depot, some of you, you pick up, you buy from NNPC, some of you own depots, you put your mark on it and increase profits, that you are the real reason why there's these, responsible for this scarcity in Nigeria. How do you respond to that?
Is that the reason why they're charging you 3 per liter? That's criminal. Because, where is it in the template for them to be charging that kind of, and then they force you to pay it by force. When they drop it, and all the mess that is in the system, from getting PFI to the vessel issue, everything, then the price will crash. Let everybody repent and born again in this chain.
So everyone is guilty. Nupeng, IPMA,
nobody is perfect in the system now. Okay. Nobody is perfect. Or clean. Let me say clean.
So everybody is collecting their own part, including you too, as the marketers that are also in pushing this. I think the only clean people here are the Nigerian people that have to suffer all of this value chain shenanigan that is going on with the suffering. But let me quickly just come in and also ask you this, that in all of this, would you want a point where when subsidies are removed and food regulation happen, that you too, for instance, you'll be able to import your own fuel? And is it that you don't even want the refineries to work at all? Because you keep saying massive importation, but I never hear refinery in the conversation.
No, I'm not interested in refinery or in NPC.
Oh, you just want this product?
Those people who are in NPC can answer why refinery is not working. But we also, we want it to work so that the Nigerian can benefit, and there won't be any cost of importation, transport of this vessel issue. Now, we want the price to come down. We are ready to work with the government agencies, with all stakeholders, so that Nigerians can benefit from this petrol subsidy we are talking about. Yes, when they remove subsidy, actually the price will go up. But at the same time, we cannot eat our cake and have it. But I pray that if the saving they're going to make there will be used for the benefit of Nigerians, which I'm not Nigerian also, and including you, will also benefit from.
Okay. Well, we thank you very much, Mr. Michael Satuyi, for joining us on the morning show today. And we hope that your prediction that within 14 days,
yes,
the queues at fuel stations will disappear. I'm sure that will gladden the hearts of all Nigerians, including present company. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Ojinika Okpe will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and in check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years from loss of habitat and prey and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all. I've been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vote it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business with Vote. Vote is the answer. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Vote is the answer. Quick sign up, zero paperwork. Step by step to your dream business with Vote. By Polaris Bank.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Vault is the answer. Esther, you're late again. Esther?
She's a wonder.
the darkness. She's beautiful. Oh, she's a superstar.
Morning, Esther.
She never let her mama down. She's beautiful. She know the fear, she know they ever got a hand for her.
No phones at the table, please.
Oh.
Esther.
Oh.
I love you too.
Got everything? Don't forget I'll pick you at 4.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who were governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Working for Arise remains one of the most enjoyable jobs I've had in my career. It was exhilarating. No day was ever the same. Some days were exhausting. Some days were beyond exciting. But I can guarantee you that no day was ever the same. We interviewed a plethora of people, everybody from Lupita Nyong'o to Alicia Keys to Neo to Tyson Beckford to Gladys Knight. The list goes on and on. It's one of the only shows where you could interview a literary titan and a rapper in one episode. It was never a dull moment at Arise. And one of the things I love most about that network is that Nduka really gave us all an opportunity to find our voices, to work as hard as we could, and to deliver the best product every day. He trusted us, he believed in us, he had faith in us, and we helped him build a global network. And here we are, 10 years later, Arise, still standing. Many networks have come and gone. Some people have tried, many have failed, but here Arise is. Congratulations, Arise. Happy, happy anniversary.
There is only one place that the world will come to run on Saturday the 4th of February 2023. Over bridges, waterfronts, running across 10 kilometers and 42 kilometers of asphalt. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon will be targeting 100,000 runners from around the world, ready to flood the streets of Lagos. The 10-kilometer race will set off at 9:30 a.m. at the Grace Court Garden Events Place, Durosimi Eti, Lekki Phase 1, while the 42-kilometer race will set off at 6:30 a.m. in front of the iconic National Stadium, Surulere. And both races will finish on top of the sandy shores of the stunning Eco Atlantic City. From Oshodi to Oworu, Alakbere to Admiralty, Ikoyi to Eco Atlantic, the race is routed through the warm, meandering feet blistering streets of this historic city. So what are you waiting for? Get ready to push beyond the limit. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon 2023. Make it count.
I was one of the founder anchors of Arise News. And for me, the highlight of my time at Arise, and indeed of my entire journalistic career, was covering the Nelson Mandela funeral from Johannesburg to the Eastern Cape. It really brought home to me my heritage. I was born in South Africa, and for the first time in my journalistic career, being South African or being African mattered. Of course, another iconic story was the Oscar Pistorius trial, which I covered from start to finish. That was more a case of a hero going to zero. And of course, I was really proud of Arise because we were one of the first news organizations to report on Ebola and keep on reporting on Ebola. And then the world took notice. And also we reported on the Chibok girls before anybody else did. I was very proud to have worked at Arise.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Ojinika Ojukwe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Junix. Good morning.
Ayo, help me out now sometimes. You can't. You know, I know what to do after. Next week, we're going to prepare. It's February 1st, isn't it?
Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Bati. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai.
It's the month of breakfast.
Yes.
Both relationship breakfast and political breakfast.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe.
In the United Kingdom, Sonia Ekweremadu, daughter of Nigeria's former Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, was absent from court on Monday, where she and her parents are facing criminal charges. Sonia's defense team said she was unable to attend court as she is currently in hospital with an unspecified condition. Her lawyers have also submitted a psychological report claiming that she is not fit to stand trial. The court adjourned the trial to allow the prosecutors examine the report. In the United States, actor Alec Baldwin and weapons specialist Hannah Gutierrez-Reed were formally charged on Monday with involuntary manslaughter in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the movie Rust. The charge comes nearly 2 weeks after Santa Fe District Attorney Mary Carmack Altwies first announced that Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed would be prosecuted for what authorities describe as a pattern of criminal disregard for safety. Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed have maintained their innocence and have vowed to fight the charges. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pope Francis on Tuesday demanded that foreign powers stop plundering Africa's natural resources for the poison of their own greed as he arrived the country to a raucous welcome by Congolese faithful as the leader of the Catholic Church focused the world's attention on their forgotten plight. Tens of thousands of people lined the main road into the capital Kinshasa to welcome the 86-year-old pontiff after he landed at the airport. Under sports, the French government says it's fast-tracking special legislation for the 2024 Paris Olympics that would allow the use of video surveillance assisted by artificial intelligence systems to ensure the smooth running of the events, which will attract 13 million spectators. The proposal comes as France seeks to avoid a repeat of the chaos of last year's Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid at the Stade de France, where fans, including children, were tear gassed and many supporters complained they were mugged around the stadium.
Oh, that's my John.
Finally, on our entertainment, Sony Pictures announced on Tuesday that a fourth sequel for the critically acclaimed action-packed comedy Bad Boys, featuring the duo Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, is in pre-production. The reports alleging that the untitled Bad Boys sequel, which follows the 2020's Bad Boys for Life, was put on hold after Will Smith's infamous slap at the Oscars in March last year was disputed by Sony Pictures chief Tom Rothman. In a video posted on Instagram, Will Smith filmed himself driving to Martin Lawrence's house to announce the return of the sequel.
But this is Bad Boys 4. It's official.
That's right.
Look at this mess. It's carnage.
I didn't do all this.
You didn't shoot anybody?
Well, come on, Cap. You know I shot some people.
Yeah.
Cause it's Bad Boys for life.
Well, let's begin what's trending. Candidates of the leading political parties are campaigning vigorously in the lead up to the February 25th presidential election. On Monday, the People's Democratic Party's flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar, took his campaign to Sokoto, where he sympathized with the people of the state over bandits' activities resulting to many deaths, and promised to end insecurity and boost the country's economy if he becomes president.
We intend to put more boots on the ground, equip our men, and also work with the state government to see who will have state police. This will definitely bring about law and order so that our economy can begin to pick, particularly agriculture. Sokoto being a bastion of agricultural economy.
Well, the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, took his campaign to Atiku's home state of Adamawa, where he promised to build a new Nigeria if elected president. He also assured Nigerians that he will do everything possible to fight insecurity.
All the country has done in the past 20 years is to manufacture poverty. To manufacture insecurity. To ensure that people are unemployed. To make our youth suffer. To bring misery to all the family. That is what we are saying. It has come to an end.
Well, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, took his campaign to Peter Obi's home state of Anambra, dressed in the traditional Ishiagu regalia, and was welcomed by a large crowd and masquerades. Tinubu at the rally said Obi, the state's former governor, lives in Lagos because he is guilty of not developing his home state and is a danger to those who will fall for his misrule. He urged the people of Anambra not to vote for him because he's incapable of keeping a promise.
I'm not afraid of anybody.
And I don't worry. The man who left here, he called himself Peter Obi. We read in the Bible that before cock crows 3 times, he will deny Jesus Christ. He denied. So how can he keep a promise to you if we cannot give promise to God?
Well, social media was awash with reactions on Tuesday after the APC flag bearer, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, at the party's presidential campaign rally in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, slammed the President Muhammadu Buhari-led government over the depreciation of the nation's currency. Well, according to Tinubu, when the government took over, the Naira-dollar exchange rate was about 200 Naira to a dollar, but has depreciated to about 800 Naira to the dollar on the parallel market. Let's take a listen before we take some reactions.
Their families, they've never understand what inflation is all about. They never understand what money laundering is all about. They never understand keeping our currency in the dark corner of their room. To change and torture, move the exchange rate from 200 to 800. If they have repaired it, if they have arrested this, we won't be where we are today. We will be greater. They don't know the way. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to do. I say, follow me.
Let's take some reactions. This is from No Tweet, who wrote, they moved the exchange rate from 2 to 200 to 800. They don't know the way. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to do. Please, who are they Tinubu is referring to? Because it is a sin to vote they. Or Santos wrote, Tinubu is boldly and publicly attacking Buhari and his government. This man is vicious. Can you imagine? This man suddenly distancing himself from Buhari. Where is Garba Shehu, Femi Adesina, Lai Mohammed? By the way, is Festus Keyamo there while Tinubu attacks Buhari? Well, in the meantime, amid the outrage emanating from the CBN's cashless policy and the scarcity of the redesigned currency, a video posted on Twitter by a person who goes by the name Shehu revealed a group of volunteers who have organized a cash swap program for their community in the name of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the APC flag bearer. Let's take a look before we come back for a discussion.
As you can see, it's ongoing. The incoming President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu Asiwaju. The ongoing program is proudly sponsored and powered by Tinubu Mobilization Squad.
There are so many things to discuss here, Dr. Abate. I would like for you to start with this particular video. Isn't this a crime?
Okay. Cash swap policy is a policy of the CBN, specifically targeted at the underbanked persons in rural areas, so that they too will be able to change their old notes for new notes. Now, the CBN also says that it has 30,000 cash agents, either mobile money operators or those who operate POS all over the country. The CBN also has a task force out there that is going around. They've been to Lagos, they've been in Ondo State, they've gone to other parts of the country to make sure that the cash swap policy is working. Now, 5 banks are designated banks that these agents can relate with. It includes Access, it includes any bank, So there are 5 banks, FCMB, and 2 others. Now, for any individual to act as a cash swap agent, you have to be registered. The banks must have all your details, okay? Your BVN, your NIN, your picture, your fingerprint. And these agents are also expected to have the details. CBN is insisting on what they call know your customer, and also all these details about your name, your phone number, your address, the amount of money, although the ceiling for the agents is 10,000 naira. Okay, I've put the policy in place. So who is this, what do you call his name? Shehu.
Shehu, that's the name on the Twitter account.
So who is this Shehu who is working as a cash swap agent? Is he one of the accredited 30,000 agents recognized by CBN? If it's not, then what he's doing is illegal, it's a crime, and the CBN task force, they need to go and fish him out and get him arrested. More so, as if he's not a cash swap agent, not following the guidelines, then of course what he is doing is that he's saying that those people who are collecting money from him, they promise to vote for the presidential candidate of the APC. Yes. And that's an offense. Section 121 of the Electoral Act 2022 is titled Bribery and Conspiracy. He says he's not taking any charges from them. Where some of the banks, for you to get 10,000 naira, they may ask you to pay 1,000 naira. For you to get 50,000 naira, you may pay 5,000. Even the banks have become usurious now, So the gentleman says he's giving to them. So he's trying to influence voters. And Section 127, also of the Electoral Act 2022, talks about undue influence. He's taking down their names. He's wearing the logo of a particular candidate, and he's giving them money and collecting new notes. So the whole purpose looks like vote buying.
Absolutely.
Which is an offense under the law.
Absolutely.
And I keep saying here that part of the problem we have with the concerns expressed about bribery and conspiracy, violation of the Electoral Act about undue influence, is that the INEC itself is overstretched. INEC has been pushing for an electoral offenses commission. The bill is still there in the National Assembly because INEC says it cannot be working on logistics and trying to deliver credible election and at the same time be chasing people around. So where are the security agencies? I thought they said there were a series of meetings. I'm sure at those meetings they drank coffee at the expense of Nigerian people, and yet they are not doing their work. So that this doesn't become a source of encouragement for other political parties. What does it take for another person to wear the logo of PDP and begin to give out money to Nigerians? No, the cash swap policy is meant to be an organized initiative of the central bank. If it is being violated, the CBN has a right to go after those who are doing so. It's not just the Electoral Act they are violating. The man is also probably in the process violating Section 21 of the CBN Act, which does not allow you to abuse the naira, either for political reasons or for selfish reasons. Now, you brought the video of the campaign by the PDP candidate in Sokoto. Okay, I saw all over the social media, people were saying, oh, mammoth crowd, massive crowd. And PDP spokespersons have been celebrating it. Look, large crowd at campaigns do not translate into votes on election day. Politicians will naturally mobilize people. However, there must be a lesson that must be learned about crowd management. At that Sokoto rally, the crowd is understandable. That's the home of Governor Tambuwa. Yeah. Who is leading the campaign for the party. He and Governor Udom Emmanuel. So, I mean, you expect that he will do a great job in his own home state as DG of the campaign. However, there was a problem after that rally. There was a stampede at the gate, and one woman died.
One woman died.
Our colleague, not just one woman, Aji Aishat Mena, former president of NAWOJ, chairman of NAWOJ, that's the National Association of Women Journalists, of Sokoto chapter. She fell down, she was rushed to the hospital, she couldn't make it, just because there was a stampede at the end of the exercise. So we want to appeal to the political parties. In these 23 days remaining before we have the presidential election, they have to pay attention to crowd management so that people will not be dying anyhow, because some people want to realize their ambition. For Adamawa, where the Labour Party presidential candidate and his running mate went to campaign, the big issue in that particular case is that the gubernatorial candidate and other candidates of the Labour Party in that state refused to show up. And their complaint was that the party has not been carrying them along. That, if it is true, as reported, that would be a major minus for, the Labour Party. And then from there, we saw in Anambra the candidate of the APC, and he was attacking Peter Obi, whom he described as Mr. Stingy. Anyway, in any case, we said verbal violence, verbal abuse, politicians should stay away from all of that, and they should try to keep the higher ground. And it's not only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is criticizing day. I think on television this morning, even Governor Nasir El-Rufai, said more or less the same thing about fuel scarcity, about policy, redesign policy, and the fact that he believes that there are fifth columnists in the presidential villa who are working against the party and who do not want the APC to win. So it looks like it's not only the PDP that they have division. There is also serious division in the APC.
Absolutely, Dr. Abati. I'd like to take that video of Nasser El-Rufai. He spoke on live television yesterday where he said that, powers in Aso Rock are against Tinubu.
I believe that there are elements in the villa that want us to lose the elections because they didn't get their way. They had their candidate. Their candidate didn't win the primaries. And I think they are still trying to get us to lose the elections. And they are hiding behind the president's desire to do what he thinks is right.
Rufai, over to you.
Wow, I know there will not be time, but let's try. At first, Mr. Tinubu and what he said as regards 200 naira to 800 naira was totally correct. And I'm happy that Mr. Tinubu himself has also confirmed that those they brought in 2015 cannot think. They don't know anything about inflation. And it's not me, his words here. And I'm happy they've sounded it out because I keep asking, when you want to campaign, you campaign on the record of the predecessor. And it is obvious that Mr. Tinubu has come out to say that the record of, the incumbent is not good enough. So those things are facts. And it's good, he says. No matter how much they try to spin it in the coming days, it is good, he says it. But I also like to advise, it's not time for him to keep up with these abuses. We've had a little bit too much of all this abuse. Please, it's time we stop it. The infighting in the Labour Party is a sad one because this is not the first time it's going to happen. It also happened in Port Harcourt. The Labour Party should also watch it, where there's discordancy between the National Secretariat of the party and the candidates for governorship in that state. What that man was doing is vote buying 2.0.
That's it.
And let's not deceive ourselves, but this is not the first of its kind. You remember how we argued that giving trader money a couple of months to election was vote buying. So this is just vote buying 2.0. And that man is faces on camera. I don't see why he should not be summoned and arrested and let the full course of the law take its course for vote buying. It's as simple as that at ABC. What Mr. El-Rufai said is a reflection of what is going on. Mr. Perogi wrote an article over the weekend that talked about the Cold War between Buhari and Tinubu. There's actually a Cold War going on.
That's what it appears to
you
be.
You can feel it from the body language.
Absolutely.
And based on that article, Mr. El-Rufai has been able to confirm today that actually some people in Buhari's cabinet don't want Tinubu to go there. That's why I say it's going to be a month of breakfast.
Absolutely.
Happy
I'd like
watching.
Ayo to speak quickly.
Just very quickly on the agent. Even if he were an agent of the CBN, no one has the right to compel Nigerians to vote for a particular candidate on the promise of offering a service, not to talk of access to our national currency. I hope, like Rufai has mentioned, his face is on TV.
Yes.
That INEC could show, and CBN would use him as an example and as a strong message to others as a deterrent. We cannot flagrantly continue to disregard the laid down laws.
Okay, we have to go now.
Well, thank
you very much,
for your
Ejineka.
great analysis, as always. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rochus Udiri will be here next to take you through Global Business Report. Stay with us. You stay the Arise News channel.
Abubakar maka nchekwa obodo. Ka anyị tụnyere